Good morning. I thought I'd do an interesting video today. I've literally just woke up, so for context, this is about 9:30 on a Sunday morning. It's the day after Manchester City have crashed out of the Champions League. You can tell my voice is a little bit deeper than usual because I've literally just got out of bed. And I sat there for 20 minutes this morning trying to process last night. And I'll be honest, I didn't really know how to process it. I still don't quite know how to process it. And I also wasn't sure what to really do in terms of video content because I wanted to talk about the game more. But I also didn't really know what more to add for everything I said last night on Twitter and everything I said last night in my match reaction video. So I was sitting there thinking, well, what do we really need to talk about? How should I do this? And why not do a video where I just be honest about everything last night and also try not to be salty, you know? I think people will come to this channel today expecting another fan channel rant. Well, guys, you're in for a disappointment. Or expecting me to want certain players to leave. And maybe there are one or two players I think have jumped the shark, so to speak. Or expecting, I guess, a lot more vitriol. But I thought instead of trying to take a calm, rational, logical look at last night, and I guess trying to unravel it, like, essentially, this is a psychology session. You guys are my psychologists. You're sitting there listening to me talk, and I'm just going to try and let words and thoughts spew out of my head into this camera and my microphone. And try and get through it together because that was absolutely painful. There's absolutely no way of kind of sugarcoating that, unfortunately. And sitting here today as a City fan, I'm trying to work out which angle to come at this from. Do we need to throw out loads of things because there's more problems that we know about? Is it simply a case of one man and his insecurities and fears in Guardiola? Is it a case that we've got loads of players who aren't quite up to the situation at the moment? Is it also just a case of bad night, shit happens, move on? Usually, as always in these situations, it's a combination of several factors. It's never as simple as one thing. I do think there was an overriding problem personally, one particular problem more than others, but largely it's always a combination of things. And I think if we have to be honest, I think we kind of got found out. I think we genuinely kind of got found out last night. This was a Manchester City performance probably several months in the making. Now, you could turn around, and I have said this myself, so I'm not being a hypocrite, turn around and blame the system and blame Guardiola's approach. And I still maintain the main problem last night was the way we set up. Not just tactically, more the choosing of a new setup, more the mental approach to the game. I always still believe that that's the main problem. But what I will say is that you can't really be surprised, given everything we've watched over the past few months as a Manchester City fan, past year basically, since the season started. A year, wow, weird, isn't it? Last night really exposed all the weaknesses. Someone said to me, someone DM'd me after the game saying that is possibly the weakest backline you could have at this stage in the Champions League. And sadly, they're actually right, genuinely right. That back three, unfortunately, the more we look at it, it was shambolic. And this is a season that's kind of head towards that moment. Senior experienced players in terms of Otamendi and Stones have fallen out of favour, which is concerning. That one, they're not up to scratch. One's got a little bit old, admittedly, and two, worrying that they've been left in this situation in the first place. Last summer's failure to essentially address the defensive issues that we were having has come back to bite us on the arse. It really has. We obviously went for a centre back. I'm kind of glad it wasn't Maguire, but I think it was pretty obvious that eventually that was all going to unravel and leave us in a situation like we found last night with a very, very poor defence. I admire both in very different ways, but I am sorry, Fernandinho, a converted 35-year-old centre-back, was never going to be a solution, and his frailties and his lack of understanding of the situation showed up last night. And also, I really rate him as a footballer. I really rate him as a prospect, but I'm sorry, a young lad, also without any pace or physicality at centre-back, was quite frankly massively out of his depth. I like Eric Garcia, I like him hugely, but he was out of his depth. And then we had Laporte on the other side, competent, but surrounded by mediocrity, unfortunately, in the centre of defence. And this situation is something that has been a long time coming. Now, I'm not trying to kick off and blame anyone individually, but the point I'm saying is that we've gone from having last season's title running with Kompany being a rock and us not conceding any goals and that team being really, really, really stoic and determined in defence to essentially having weaknesses that we all know is there. Now, another thing I guess tactically we turn around and say, even if even if Pep was right to identify those weaknesses, I mean, I still maintain that we threw everything that was Manchester City out of the window to try and address their problems. Even if Pep was right that the weaknesses were so profound and so notable, that we had to change something, that we had to set up a system. Why did we basically set up in a way that built into their strengths in every single way? Our attempt to solve it only emphasised our weaknesses. That's what I can't quite get my head around. We feared their pace. We feared their incisiveness and their counter-attacking ability. And we basically congregate the middle of the pitch. We filled the middle of the pitch with slow players. I mean, I don't quite get that. I don't quite get it at all. We had absolute no pace at all. If it was the case that we were really so uncertain about the pace of Lyon, why were we not putting Kyle Walker at right centre-back with Cancelo at right-back? So you got two fast players over on that right side. Why were we not doing that? Then you could have Mendy at left-back left wing-back who's got a bit of pace. Why not go with, I don't know, something like this? If we're going to play three at the back, why not go with energy and pace in the midfield? So let's imagine last night's system and let's put it like this instead. You have Ederson in goal. You have right wing back as Cancelo, a pacey player. Right centre back of the three, Kyle Walker. Then in the middle, I don't know, you have probably Fernandinho will be fine there. Maybe even John Stones has got a little bit more pace. And then a left centre back, of course, you have Laporte. Then a left wing back, you have Mendy. I'm sorry, but if we're going to play wing backs, I know Cancelo done the previous round, but you're going to play wing backs. Cancelo is a natural right wing back. He's a natural right wing back. That is his preferred position. Mendy is a natural left wing back. Kyle Walker has played on the right side of defence for England, the centre back, and he has that pace to follow those runs. It's inexplicable to leave it so confused. And then look at midfield, and you have Rodri and Gundogan, who continuously together show up their lack of pace. And then you have Kevin De Bruyne further forward with absolutely no one to pass it to. Sterling and Gabriel Jesus, the only ones ahead of him. A man who absolutely loves having angles and passes to make. And this is why I'm talking this morning, because I'm trying to get everything that's bugging me out off my chest without sounding entitled. And I will talk for 5 minutes at the end of this video why we should be very positive about Manchester City and why we are so lucky. But right now, I just want to talk to you and get everything off my chest. Why put Kevin De Bruyne so far forward? And I can't quite fathom why we would neuter ourselves so willingly. We neutralised our best player by giving him no one to pass to for 60 minutes of the game. Kevin De Bruyne is a man that needs to be 30 yards further back than the front line, playing passes to a winger, to another winger, to a forward, to another false eight going ahead of him. He needs to have options and willing runners. And what did we get? No one. Absolutely no one. And then in the middle of the field, we had Rodri and Gundogan, pretty slow players. So imagine we had that back five that I just mentioned. Wing backs in Mendy and Cancelo, then Walker, and then Laporte, maybe Stones or Fernandinho in the middle. So we got that right. We've got a little bit of pace there. And then you have a midfield. You have a front two maybe of Sterling and Gabriel Jesus or something like that. Or maybe you have Bernardo running off basically Gabriel Jesus, or it'll probably be Sterling, I would say Sterling and then Gabriel Jesus, and then in the midfield, right, you have Rodri there holding midfield, and then you get Bernardo and you put him in midfield. You say to Bernardo, do you remember when we played Liverpool and you were absolutely incredible in the centre midfield at Etihad and you ran everywhere and you were tenacious? And Bernardo, guess what, mate? You're at home. You're in Lisbon. You've seen your family probably, let's be honest. You absolutely want to play today. You said in the press conferences it's great to be in, you're happy and you're content and it's good to feel familiar at home. Bernardo, go out there, fucking work. Go in the centre of the pitch. Run your little arse off. Do it. Or if you don't give it to Bernardo, you say to Phil Foden, Phil, you're a Manchester City fan. This is the quarterfinals of the Champions League. You were fantastic against Real Madrid. You go and run your little arse off. Work really hard. Offer something when you can. Skip past the challenge in midfield if you can and create some pressure, because we've got so many defenders. We need you, Bernardo, or Phil Foden on that left side of midfield to get forward and link up with Sterling and Jesus up top. And then Kevin De Bruyne has outlets. Kevin De Bruyne has someone to play 1-2s with. So you've got Rodri there helping that three-man central defensive partnership with the two wing-backs. Then you've got that essentially inverted little kind of midfield diamond to actually get forward. You've got someone who can actually help in midfield. We had pace and energy. So we had correctly identified that we were slow. But still, we got it wrong. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. Individual mistakes, of course, cost us. It blows your mind looking at the goals. Even, to be honest, Sterling's miss as well. Ridiculous. Defensively, we're all over the show as well. Kyle Walker, him jogging back for that first goal. What are you doing, Kyle? Why are you doing that? Fernandinho miles away, no one tracking Cornet's run. I wouldn't say Kyle Walker or Fernandinho are lazy. So what happens? He doesn't react. Neither of those reacted to very obvious danger. So maybe they weren't prepared for it, or maybe they didn't know where they needed to be. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was just a mistake on the night. But the point is, there was too many little mistakes like this, and it gets frustrating. I am not Pep out. I'm really not Pep out. But I think Pep to come out and say that they trained on this for 3 days. It says it all, Pep. You don't know 3 days, Pep. 3 days. So you ask the players to learn something new and important and different, despite having all that pressure to deal with. You had that, you put that on them, Pep. Do you not see, Pep, how that's a bad idea? Can you really not see that as a bad idea? I'm sorry. On the biggest day of the season, you do not ask players to try and remember something new. I said this last night in the video, but I'm going to say it again anyway. Imagine your internal process, right? You're a footballer, biggest game of the season. You want to go far. You want to get to the semi-finals. It's a mental block that the team have. The team already have one mental block. They can't get past the semi-finals. They're already aware of mistakes they've made in previous rounds. And people have said previously as well that we've overfought in the Champions League. So there's two things there immediately, probably in the back of their minds subconsciously. Thirdly, there's no fans there. It's in a weird, neutral environment. It's very different. It's a very different world. So that's going to be an issue, potentially. Or not an issue, but something that the players are going to be thinking about. It's going to distract from their focus. And then fourthly, basically, they're being asked to deal with all this pressure of the game. This is a massive game. It's huge. And then finally, inside their head, they've also got to remember a new system. There's just too much information inside their head. What we should have done is spend all week, surely, not focusing on our weaknesses, setting the team up with apprehension and caution, and essentially instilling the fear. I'm sorry, we spent 3 days instilling the fear into our side. We should be surely focusing on what makes Manchester City great and trying to work on our own strengths and trying to remind the players of how good they can be. Yes, if you need to nullify the opposition in a little bit, maybe nullify it with pace in the current system, but don't treat them with that much respect. I'm sorry, you set us up for failure, unfortunately, Pep. I'm sorry. The players needed to feel comfortable, they needed to feel confident, and they needed to feel secure. Give them conviction. At this time of the season, in a game this big, you do not need new uncertainties. Players play on muscle memory. We know this all the time. Players often say that Guardiola spends so long drilling a style and system into your heads that you can do it just like that, the back of your hand. And the reason is because that intense, specific coaching over several month period, if not longer, years at a time. He ripped all that up last night, unfortunately, and once again exposed his own personal insecurities. Pep is a fantastic manager. He knows more about football than me or you or anyone else watching this video. He does. He knows more about football than any of us. He's a savant-like genius for this kind of stuff. But I think sometimes he oversees the smallest of things. Sometimes geniuses can overlook something that's right in front of their face because their own hubris or their own ability to overthink overrides the most obvious solution. Humans have an ability to do this. Humans have an ability to complicate things to unnecessary levels. I'm not going to try and be a backseat coach here, but if by some weird alternate scenario I was involved in this setup, I'd be like, Pep, don't complicate it. Pep, play to our strengths, add a little bit of pace and a bit of energy, and encourage the same approach to an extent that worked so well against Real Madrid. Tell these players how great they are. Tell these players not to fear a Lyon side. Tell them to be alert and aware. Point out that certain runners will be fast, but don't then set us up with such a fatally flawed system. That really, not only does it change our system, but it exposed all our weaknesses. It exposed all our lack of defence, if anything. Sometimes there's an argument said, when you've got a defence that is poor, and unfortunately our defence is poor, maybe don't put all the emphasis on that defence. You can try and fix something so much that eventually it just it crumbles, basically. You can put too much weight on there, it buckles, Buckaroo, it kicks it off, whatever. And I think that's what happened. We put so much focus on the weak area of our team that eventually it exposed ourselves and it drew more attention to it. But I think in general, maybe we should have been like, we are going to be poor defensively, but let's fucking score these bastards. Let's try and score more goals than them. Let's go for it with aggression. I'm getting so much off my chest. I'm so tired as well. So tired of watching Gundogan and Rodri amble around together. I'm sorry. Stop it. Please, Pep, stop it. Stop doing it. If Gundogan's been a very useful player, but he's useful in a very particular set of circumstances. I know it kind of worked against Real Madrid, but often it doesn't work. And I can openly admit that and think I can also sound like a hypocrite. Fair enough. But it doesn't often work, and especially given the slow players behind them. I still just can't help but feel that if we'd started last night with Mendy, Bernardo, Foden, maybe even Stones, genuinely, last night would have been a totally different story. I can't shake that feeling, and it feels so obvious. And Captain Hindsight here, he's stating these things that sound so obvious, but sometimes it is that simple. Play the energetic players with technical ability, with a little bit of pace, to counter the players with pace. It isn't that complicated, Pep. It isn't that complicated. Pep, you're wonderful. You're a genius. But we've got a lot of work to do. It's really, really weird to think that... I need a sip of my brew. Sorry, guys. I need some of my coffee. It's really weird to think that the season has just ended. David Silva's bowed out in such a horrible, depressing fashion. And I'm so sorry, David, that you have to go through that. He does not deserve that. There's not more to be said than that, other than he doesn't deserve that. But it's really weird to think that the season's ended and it'll be starting again in less than a month. Less than a month for Manchester City to turn around. And what needs to change? Honestly, I feel like we don't know our strongest team anymore. Manchester City do not know their strongest team. The identity that Manchester City had has all but disappeared. The 17-18 team, the 18-19 team, so iconic for that aggressive approach, that aggressive, considered approach, that structure, that regimented side has disappeared. We had a holding midfielder, 2 3/8s, and willing wingers ahead. There was people coming at you from every single conceivable angle. This was a team that knew its structure, its process like the back of the hand, and slowly but surely that team is fading. Aguero, my genuine fear is Aguero, his best days are now past him. I am very concerned about this. I'm hugely concerned about this. If you watch my videos regularly, I've talked about this an awful lot. Incredibly concerned. Really, that is a massive concern of mine. He's had a meniscus injury, and Aguero, that's so crucial to that team, could be gone. He could be one that's disappeared. Sane has gone from that squad now, so Aguero is a concern, in my opinion, because of his age, because of his knee injuries. He might be fine, but it's a concern. Sane's gone, so that's one player from that squad that made that style so important to Manchester City. He's gone now. We've got a situation where David Silva has left. So one person's gone. One of the false eights that made the system so impenetrable is now gone. Fernandinho's power in midfield has now gone. That's 4 changes potentially already. 4. Fernandinho's gone in midfield. And we've got a man in Rodri who's good. Rodri's very good, don't get me wrong, but he needs to learn around a settled side. And so far, I think he's had an okay start to Manchester City career. Not a great start, but an okay start to Manchester City career. I don't have any issues with him personally. But I think it's obvious that we're not settled yet and we need to find a way. So you've got that basically. Kevin De Bruyne, perfectly fine. He's still perfectly fine. Sterling is these days on the left. Yes, Sterling missed a sitter last night, but Sterling is still a quality player and there are no issues there as far as I'm concerned. Go back into the defence. Vincent Kompany is gone. So there's five changes already that we haven't really sorted out or addressed. And then you've got left back. Still got left back issues, unfortunately. Cancelo is not the long-term solution at left back. He just isn't. He's a good player. He's not. We need a long-term solution at left-back. Is it Mendy? Maybe, it could be. But either way, there are still massive question marks there, unfortunately. Kyle Walker, still fine. Still, of course, fine. Cancelo, we haven't got problems at right-back. Nothing's changed there. Laporte, honestly, Laporte, quality, bad last night. I think he was poor last night. I thought he was a shambles, constantly looking indecisive with his tackles. I'm not going to judge him from that too much, but what I'm saying is that's a slightly concern. I wouldn't say that's a major concern. Edison, probably not great either, but not a major concern. The point is, there's several things that have changed from this squad. Bernardo's lost a bit of form. Can Bernardo recover that form? Sure. But what we do now need to do is find a new system. Guardiola needs to find a new identity for Manchester City. This identity has crumbled away now. and we've been left with a slightly kind of a weak imitation of it. This doesn't have a structure and identity that Guardiola's side needs to have. It doesn't have that same killer instinct anymore. It doesn't have that same focus and that same shape. And we don't know our best 11. What is our best 11? Some would say it's probably Cancelo left back or Mendy. Maybe. There's no consensus on that at all. Centre back is Laporte. Who else is alongside him? What's our best 11? Is Eric Garcia the answer? I'm sorry, but the more it goes on, I'm not being salty because he wants to leave. I am not convinced a slow centre-back with no physicality is a solution to a high line. That doesn't make any sense, does it? So it's not him, it's not Stones probably, it's not Otamendi probably, it's definitely not Fernandinho. So we need another centre-back. Right back, fine. Holding midfielder? Probably Rodri's fine. Then who plays alongside De Bruyne? We haven't answered that question yet. We haven't. It can be Bernardo, it can be Foden, but we've not answered that question yet going into next season. We need to find that out. Who's going to be the long-term Aguero successor? Gabriel Jesus will say immediately, but who's going to be his successor then? We need another striker, that's the point. Do we start using some academy prospects? Do we start hoping that we spend a lot more money? Is Ferran Torres going to be more important than we realise? Nathan Ake? What is this evolution of Manchester City going to look like? Do we need to bring in some physical bastards? I'm sorry, do we need some big, fast players? I am kind of bored of watching this football filled with slow, smaller players. Can we not get some brutes in? Look at Manchester City on the counter-attack a few years back. Pace. Sterling, and then a lot of pace, and then Sane, a lot of pace. Aguero was a couple of yards faster, a lot of pace. David Silva looking a lot sharper. Fernandinho looking sharp in the midfield. Kompany had more pace than our current centre-backs. We had a bit of pace in the team and we'd lost an awful lot of that. We do need a massive overhaul. God, I've talked about so many things on these videos. Manchester City still will carry on winning trophies. Let's be positive. We still have a lot of quality players, but we've got a lot of things that we need to fix up. We can't deny that anymore. And Guardiola needs to take a long, hard look in the mirror and assess his team and work out what his best 11 is and how the next evolution of Manchester City looks, because it's changing. And I don't think we'll be left behind, but I do think we've got a lot of issues. Wow. I think I've just talked it all off my chest. Hopefully none of this sounds salty, just honest, a very deep dive assessment. The morning after, bang on. It's now like well after 10 o'clock. I've been talking for ages. That was painful to watch. And I think it's deeper than just one night. It's deeper than one night. There are issues that we've been papering over all season with this team. Issues with Pep's approach, issues with the team, issues with the squad, and his issues with the next stage of the squad that I think we have to be realistic to. We will, of course, carry on winning loads of games. I've no doubt we'll win some trophies next season as well, maybe a trophy or two. Who knows how many we'll win? But there are issues. It's an ageing squad, a changing squad, and we don't know what it looks like yet. This season, this summer, it's got to be huge. But life will go on. Life will go on. It is only football. Got it all off my chest. That feels good. Hopefully it helps you feel better. I am not a salty fan. I don't also blame any rival fans who are here while laughing at us. I don't blame you guys. If I was you, if I was a rival fan, I would sit and watch this video and laugh as well. Schadenfreude is what makes football fun. Be respectful though. Football has this incredible hold of us, doesn't it? It's Sunday now, and by the time I finish this, it'll be about 11 a.m. time I've got my video uploaded. So I'm going to try and enjoy the rest of the day. I might do a live video later. Go and join me on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Esteemed Kompany. Thank you to all these people going down the side here. These are my Patreons. These guys keep the channel going. They're absolute heroes. Let me know down in the comments what you make of the game. If you want to help me on Patreon, by the way, patreon.com/Esteemed Kompany. It'd be massively appreciated. Let me know down in the comments what you make of the game. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you for watching. In a bit.